G'day guys. This is an old detector that I've just opened up, and it's a GP3000. Just making sure, could have been an extreme. Look on the box, and this has come in for some upgrades. Basically, this one they want variable gain. Well, actually, I better read the note. They want variable gain and sensitive boost and a quick track socket installed on the detector. Now, I've been saying for a while about some of the older detectors, when you pull them apart, that things can fall off and break really easily. And this is one example I'm going to show you, is that the detector is probably well used, and it's probably been in the back of the car and it's been vibrated around. It's been wiggled around, being swung out in the goldfields. But have a look at the wiring on this. To give you an idea, it's really hard to tell. I'm just poking it. But it's stiff as a board. Like here, these little wires here, if I just move them like that, they're spring loaded. The copper has been vibrated so much that it's work hardened to a point that you probably just wiggle it back and forth once or twice and it'll just break. So this is what I usually find. This is just, we'll give you an idea, like that's a piece of wire that is very similar in size, copper wire, and you can get this, and you can tie it in a bow if you want to, or tie a knot in it. It's soft. It just very very soft. It's very easy to shape, wiggle around, and everything else. But this wire here, if I just like this is me doing exactly the same on the other wire, pressure wise, trying to squash it. It is going to snap. It's just work hardened. Now all this here, if you bend this enough times, all these wires will start breaking off, especially the big ones here. I'll just give you an idea. I'll look at the coil wires here, right? I don't know if, I hope you can see them, but these ones here, the red and black here, it's a cotton bud I'm pushing down, and I'm bending. Look at that. I can't even get anywhere near the base there, the bottom of the mat, and the cotton bud's bending like hell. Same on these. Look at this. Try and bend them. The cotton bud is bending. The wood is bending like crazy. Uh, that's how stiff they are. It's like got rigor mortis or something. It's really, really stiff. But the one of the worst ones is these connectors here at the back. I don't know if you can see on that. Probably not. I don't know. You have to zoom in. I can't zoom in on this because I'm using the front camera. Sorry, the back camera, because is it the front or back camera? I don't know. It depends which way you hold your phone. It's probably the. Have a think about that for a minute. Probably the back camera, where you look at the screen. But anyway, it's subjective, isn't it? But yeah, on these here, these are multiple um, connections in like a sort of a paper strip. And what happens is these get painted with the same paint they paint the boards with. And this is an epoxy paint. It is something, it's like, give you an idea, if I find something I can do it with here. Like you'd think, here's a screwdriver, and you get on this paint and you say, well, on here, let's scrape it. Sorry, it's hard as a rock. You can't budge it. It's you could, as an example, get some isopropyl alcohol or something like that, spray it on the paint, spray the whole detector with it. Won't hurt it, but it won't budge. It just doesn't budge. There's nothing there. So you can't get this paint off. You have to push like hell, and it's relatively chemically inert. But what happens is this paint, they spray it on this, where this was probably very, very flexible at one stage, and it is copper, thus it's work hardened. And I'll just give you an idea. If I tap it, I mean, paper doesn't sound like that, does it? It's got a layer of epoxy on it, and it is rock hard. Now, the worst thing that can happen on these is if you overbend it and it cracks, it gets a crack through it, because where the crack is going to be the new bend point. And I guarantee you, every conductor, every little bit of copper conductor in there will break along that crack line. So you've got to be very careful not to push this way back, pull it up. It wants to just leave it in its natural curvature, like so. Even look, it's so work hardened, it'll hold the board up, not a problem. There's nothing else holding it up. It's just those things. So that's what I say about these things. They get work hardened and stiff, and that epoxy paint. I'll rest a screwdriver on it and see if the board comes down. There we go. It's a heavy end. There you go. Eventually, but yeah, you don't want to move it up and down too far. So normally you just expect that if you did that, you'd expect it to fall down like a, you know, that was like on flexible cable or something. It's not. It's tough. So, you know, vibrate, vibrate, will fall apart. The other thing too, have a look on these detectors. I have to turn this around. This one, this must be an early one. Everything on here is it's had markings with texture. Oh, it's got people's names on it who did it. We won't say their names, but have a look here. These I'll try and get these wires out the way. Can you see? I don't know if you can. Maybe you can. Depends on the color. See here, it's all yellow. And you're going, well, why would they paint the board yellow? That sounds really ridiculous to paint it yellow. And it's not actually. What's happened is the electrolytic capacitors, which are under this glue, have vented through their rubber bungs at the bottom. That has discolored the epoxy from the oil inside the electrolytic capacitors, basically the electrolyte, whatever it may be. It's probably highly carcinogenic. I don't know. I'm not going to go and find out the hard way. But yeah, it's all basically vented out. So those capacitors will be very down in their specified value. If they're meant to be, I found this before, if they're meant to be, say, 100 microfarads in capacity, they might be down to 10. Some of them I've checked down to like 1 or nothing. So, yeah, be wary of yellowing around capacitors. These have yellowed in there. They're all yellow. Reminds me of a Coldplay song. You're all yellow. These ones here, also a bit of yellow just there on the base. And here, let's have a look. These things get hammered. These are supplying or trying to hold the current up on the supply rails to the transmit stage. And they must be a good capacitor. There's a slight yellowing around them, but not as bad as those there. These ones are okay. The big 250 volt rated capacitor here, it's all got glue around it, so you can't see if it's vented or not. And to have a quick squeeze, I think that's okay. It hasn't. Usually these get very hot in operation. You would expect it to vent off, but this one hasn't. But you could do an in-circuit check and just see if these are still, I think this is 180 microfarads for memory. These ones here, 2200 microfarads. Those there, can't remember. See, the thing is, the whole thing's covered in white paint, so I probably did find out 15 years ago and, yeah, conveniently forgotten. But the other thing about this one too is it's EEPROM, which has that information for timings in these detectors, which you can reprogram these, by the way. You can pull them out. You can read the code out of it, have a look at how it works, and you can change the programming lengths to give it shorter and longer pulses, as long as the mathematics between the short and long pulses are basically the same ratio, it will ground balance. So yeah, these things here, this says, as far as I can tell, GPE. So this 3000 GPE probably stands for extreme, but yeah, they probably use the same one in. It's got a sticker on it, and it says R3.4 a sticker on it. So if I pull the sticker off, you have extra address lines here too. You can put extra addresses into these chips, or use extra addresses. That's stuck on. How I'll give that some. That should come off with some. Come on, work. There we go. We should be able to get that sticker off, and I can. Of course, it paper comes off and not the rest of it. It's been there for many years. So come on, off you get. So if you ever want to do work on these, you can still get these. You can get these as flash EPROMs now and all sorts. Actually, they're probably out of production, but you should still be able to get hold of them if you want to experiment with this stuff. The early ones of these came with this EEPROM in an actual socket. So you could plonk it out, put it into a reader, have a look at the data, and then you can muck around with it and try different timings in it. Can you put enhanced timings into this? Probably. Is the rest of the circuit fast enough to handle it? Maybe not. I don't know. I should say something about that. I have done that with I did the EEPROM. Come here. I need more of this. The glue's basically dried out. It's needs a bit of encouragement to come off. But I remember these things. I have done it before, long time ago. We're getting there. Actually, looking at that, would you believe I think they did they? Did they rub the they grind the numbers off the EEPROM as well? Are you kidding me? I've just done that. It feels very smooth. Let's have a good look at that. Hang on a second. Grab a cotton bud. This is intriguing. I would have used the camera to zoom in on that, but I'm using it, so I can't. And that's so damn high, I can't. Oh, I won't be able to get onto it. I've got that. I'll try it. I don't think there's anything written. Oh, it might be. It's so faded. I don't know if I can actually get onto it with this. I've got this gadget, but it's going to be very difficult to get in there and onto it. Like, it's so far back and everything's in the way for the height this thing gets up to. So I don't think I'll be able to use that. This is really handy actually for looking at small chips. I can't use that. That's a fail. So I'll use the old magnifier glasses on it and just see if I can get in there enough and see. Well, they've tried to rub it off. Yeah, it's been ground down, but it's an ST, so ST Thompson, or ST they call themselves now. It's an 27C 256. So that's what it is. So it's 256 KE prom. I thought they were 32 with 256. So that's the thing. You don't fiddle with this stuff for years and years and years. And you know, why nowadays would you go in and fiddle with that? You know, I'm doing the later detectors. Don't have stuff like this in here, and these pop up. But you know, we're not going to go and change the code in there. But if you wanted to, you can. What I would do very carefully, and I don't even know if I would do this actually, but what you could do, if you could heat this, not hot enough to destroy it, but hot enough just to melt the solder around the legs and pop it off, it will push into a socket made for this. And some of the readers, you can make an adapter up and stick it in there and have a look at the code. But just saying that the ones I had sockets already. They were little blue sockets, and I just pop the chips out and read them. But that must have been when the manufacturer was doing a lot of experimentation with different coding for timings and things or whatever, and maybe upgraded it. I don't know exactly. I wasn't there, and I always say that because I don't know. And yeah, these things popped in, popped out. So we popped them out. We found them. They're in the SD2200. They're in a little brown socket. And in these, some versions of this, they're, I think GP Extreme was the GP Extreme version on little blue sockets. So yeah, we used to pop them out and get in there and just reprogram the things. Some of these you can get them as one-time reprogrammable. You program it, you can't do anything else. Some of them you can do, they have a little window on there, you can erase it with UV light and reprogram it. You want to keep a copy of the code though before you do that. And the other ones are flash memory versions, which I do have some. Would you believe I actually have some from years and years and years ago? No, wrong. Here we go. Yeah, I found them. Here they are. So these are. Let's put this back out of the way a bit. But these are all the chips. See, these are what I was talking about. With the chip goes in there, and that goes into my programmer, so we could program new codes into these chips and make them do all sorts of weird and wonderful stuff, because that is a whole timing structure for the transmitter, the off time, and the receiver on time. So you can fudge with that and put different timings in these detectors, and by doing that you can probably shorten up the pulses, see if you can put more pulses in there in a given time period, use faster coils, all sorts. So there's a one of the chips I used to do. That is a AT29C 256. So obviously AT, that's an Atmel chip. Same thing. These are little sockets. The same socket was used in the ST2200. Here's one here with a chip in it, which has probably been coded. This is an NM27C 256. So yeah, the chip is in there, but of some description. What else we got here? Chip carriers. The chip carriers I actually got from Rockby Electronics. I was Rockby's first customer. they've moved all over the place, but yeah, SMD PLCC socket. They were cheap. Their sockets are something else. Here we go. We have a look at these things here, and these come from Rockby as well. These things, a lot of this stuff you can't get, but Rockby has a lot of stuff that is hard to get. And if I have a look here, this is a one-time programmable EEPROM. It's an NM27C256V250. I'm pretty sure OTP means one-time programmable. I'm not 100% sure. I'm trying to think back years and years ago. But yeah, and these ones here are probably the flash ones. I think these are the flash. MX. Read through the plastic. Hopefully that might have fallen out, has it? No. These are look like they're ceramic type chips. There's no other loose ones, is there? No, they're all Atmels. But these ones here, I'm pretty sure. There we go. This one's fallen out the packet. Beautiful. Yeah, as you can see, I've used a lot of the flash ones here on various projects. So that's an MX27C256. Then something rather -12. Yeah. Oh, you can. These are 12.5 volt devices. I think the others are probably 5 or 6 volt. Don't quote me on that because I'm not really sure. Like I say, this was done a long time ago before this programming business. But like I say, you can, if you want to pop that out, or even better, if you can get a scrape the pins and read the code whilst in circuit. You can read the code out in circuit. I'm pretty sure you can. Don't quote me on that either. Like I say, I did this, I don't know how long ago. Gee, let me have a think about this. 20, oh God, look, I'm probably going back 30 years that I did all this sort of stuff. So there you go. Oh dear. You know, it's like asking someone how many times did you brush your teeth on the week of October the 1st, 1988. You don't know. It's just as hard to remember that sort of stuff as this. But there's the main CPU here up on the top, which you don't really need to know about. That just does a bit of overall housekeeping for your ADC, other switching functions, switches on the front. Yeah, some possibly on this there might be some audio filtering. I'm not sure. Maybe that was in later detectors. And yeah, it's got a UART on it, so you can talk through here into this chip and have a bit of a conversation. I don't know if anyone has mucked around with that. No one's ever told me they have. And yeah, it's pretty straightforward. You know, I should even remember all the chips here, but I haven't touched them for years. You know, just simple things like the audio system here, all the audio and filtering is interesting. That's just a quad op amp. For memory, it's you know, an 062 or something. Yeah, there's other things, 393s, things people got wrong. Yeah, 4053s there. Yeah, those what are they? The what series are they again? The op amps. Yeah, like the FET input impedance type op amp there. What are they? I can't think of the name. Philips or Nexperia had a name for them. What were they? They Excalibur. That's the one. That's the one I'm thinking of. Excalibur. It'll cut you up with a sword. Yeah. So yeah, it's pretty pedestrian. Big sluggy type transistors driving the coil. One there, one tucked in there. The zapper there. Um, yeah, ADG 333 controls a lot of the functionality, switching, transmit, receive, on and off. Controls those MOSFETs there, dual gates. Um, so the poor old op amps aren't swinging um, between cycles. You know, it doesn't, when you disconnect the coil from the input, it doesn't sit there and, oh, what's going on? You know, when you disconnect the inputs through those high voltage switching MOSFETs connected to the coil. So yeah, I thought I'd just get, anyway, this is going to a bit too much of an explanation of things, but it was just basically about how hard those wires are, and if you do wiggle them, they will snap. Uh, First of all, what happens in a lot of these, they snap right there, 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 and there, and you might say, oh well, you know, it's connected, it's there, but what it is, it's a rubber is holding onto that epoxy paint, and the copper is actually snapped right there. So if you've got a non-functioning detector, check the power wires here. They're the ones that mainly stuff up, that one and that one. And then you get people that do dumb things. They try and fire this, because these things run on 6-volt motorcycle batteries or alarm batteries. And people would go and hook them up to 12 volts. And that would cause a bit of a problem. Usually take that MOSFET there out, and this diode, I think this is a bidirectional diode, by the way, and what would happen is you put too much volts in, it'll go short circuit, um, burn in half or burn the board away. It has done, completely burnt this section out. They left, people have done things, put the detector on and it didn't work, and they've just left the battery on, and all around here is just carbonized totally. It's got control around here. It's meant to have, I don't know if these ones actually have it, but some of them are meant to have over voltage protection. It may have, I don't know. The GPXs do, but these ones may not. And anyway, what it'll do, that'll go short circuit, and there's no current limiting. And yeah, it'll sit there and burn. So you've seen a lot of these. Hook it up backwards, same thing. When you hook it up backwards, you put 6 volts on backwards. You want to hope like hell that this does not burn through and go open circuit, because what happens, it goes through the body diode of this MOSFET here, and all the chips in here on those rails will suddenly generate little brown dots in the middle through the white paint, and you've just cooked every chip in the whole thing that happens to. Everything on the plus and minus 6-volt rails, which is just about everything, you will completely destroy it. Get your detector, throw it in the bin if you do that, because you will have to then replace every IC. And if you damage the micro up here, what are you going to do then? Do you have the code for that? No, chuck it in the bin. So don't do that. A safe thing to do on these detectors, and it should have, in my opinion, right, it should have been done that in the positive leg here, or you can do it in a negative leg, doesn't really make any difference. You could have cut this and just put a ceramic fuse in there of some description, or even a bimetallic type current limiting switch, you know, for the little strip that heats up and it goes, when it gets too hot, it goes pop, makes an open circuit, click, click. They did put them on the batteries, the dome type batteries that came out with these. They put in, you short it out, and it would go click, 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 and you'd hear this clicking sound, which means that you wired it up wrong, or you're doing something, or the detector, this has gone short circuit for some reason anyway, and it would stop burning this in half and destroying the whole detector. But people use aftermarket battery systems. Um, our aftermarket battery system that we make for these and all the detectors have current limiting in the batteries. They're all current limited. They all have short circuit protection. If you short out one of our batteries, it goes into a lockout, and that lockout can only be reset by putting the battery back on the charger for about 5 seconds, which then resets that part of the circuit. It is so you don't blow your detector up if it's got a fault, and you don't blow the battery up if your detector's got a short on the input. So that is why our batteries, you've probably seen them, they look like that's a small one. That we put regulators in these for these detectors too. Drops the voltage to about 7.2 volts. Depends, if you buy a GP battery, it won't put out 8.4 because your detector won't work or it'll stuff it. So on the GP batteries, either the big one here or that, we set the batteries that it'll either will put out 8.4 volts or 7.2. 7.2 is fairly safe. It's amazing that if you take it to 7.4, that's when you start getting issues. We had a variable system once where we had this old fella who had a 2200, and for some reason he had this adjustable power supply, and he would crank it trying to get more out of the detector, and he'd get it up near over the magic number of 7.2 volts, get it up to about 7.6, and blow up the detector. It would blow up the power supply. It had a switch mode power supply in the 2200. It was just a 2N7002, I think it was, or 7000 surface mount, which was the oscillator, and it used to pop that. I got sick and tired of having this detector come to me to get repaired all the time. And I remember, what did I do? I did something. I think I put a three-legged regulator inside the detector, so no matter how much volts he shoved in, it was a low dropout regulator. I think I just regulated the 6.2 volts or something, so he couldn't blow it up anymore. So I never heard back. So some people, some people are just stupid, right? They are. They're stupid. They've got no idea what they're doing. The more volts, into the coil. But hey, hang on a second. There's other things working on that rail, on that voltage rail, and you'll make smoke come out of it. But I think he did it 4 times, and it never come back for the fifth because I shoved a low voltage dropout three-legged regulator in it. So took care of that. Yeah, sort of saved him from himself. Yeah. So anyway, that's enough waffle. How's that? 30 minutes talking about everything else except for the hard, crispy wires. Oh God, you can't even look at that, spring loaded. They're like springs because it's just so work hardened. Dear me, that's absolutely amazing. There, that I never ever had a detector this bad, except for old 2000s that have been kicking around for so many years. It's not funny, but this one here definitely has been sitting in the back of the car getting wiggled around. Look at that. That's hard as a rock. Oh my God. So that's why these fail. Everything is hard. Hard, hard, hard. All the God, that's the little tiny one there on the power switch. Uh, Gee, that controls that MOSFET, turns the MOSFET on, supplies negative to the circuit, by the way. So that's why you don't burn out the little power switch, because it's only doing very small current, and that 1 amp MOSFET there supplies most of the current on negative rail to the circuit, just so you know that. Yeah, that's, I don't know, IRF something or other, 1 amp, whatever, not critical. Shove anything in there, it'll work if it ever blows up. But yeah, that going short circuit is a definitely something that You don't want to hit that with 5 amps capability going in. It'll burn that out and wreck your whole detector. That's if people still use these. But these are a really good, deep, big target gold detector. There's nothing wrong with these for looking for big, huge gold. And the overall basic concept, you can do a lot of things and make it pretty well close to most of the modern detectors within reason, unless they have some different functionality, switching of the coil change, like flip phase and all the other stuff. These don't do that. But as a general purpose um, detector, and in a lot of cases running a really big coil on these, looking for big, big gold, these outperform a lot of the new stuff. The new stuff just cannot deliver and doesn't deliver the big energy into the ground that's needed for those big targets to fully energize them. So there's a lot of new detectors walk over all the big gold at depth, and these older ones are more capable of getting it, especially if you do modification to the detector. You want to yeah, get more sensitivity and yeah, longer pulses. Do a few changes, quieten it up, and modernize it. Basically, you modernize the detector. You get the old ones and you modernize them. So that's that. Anyway, that's enough of a video on this. I just thought, so I haven't done any work, have I? I've done 30 minutes or so sitting here talking about it. So I better go and do that and keep the customers happy. Um, but I'm not going to go and video me getting in there. All you're going to see is my fat hands in there, like, because I'll be in there like, whatever, and you won't be able to make heads or tails what I'm doing. So, and by the way, this time, well, tell me if I did a good thing. I was going to loosen this off because I can move it. I put the microphone right there. So I put the microphone there rather than wearing it. I just want to see what the audio quality is like, if it's better. I think it should be better, because I think if you have it down here, it's I you're not really direct at it, and it's too close and it's connected to you, and it picks up funny resonances and overloads and carries on. So hopefully that's clear. Should be. But anyway, that's that. Catch us later.